Hi, everyone. Welcome to the ATYL live stream, another Thursday night with you. We're like throwing it back to like 2021 when Adam and I did the show ourselves when Adam was a guest here. So, like, fun. Taylor and Adam show. How's it going?
Going good. It definitely feels like the summer of 2021. Getting ready for
Yeah.
a new racetrack again. Seems to be a common thing with us. It's me and you when we preview a new track. So yeah, let's get it.
Look at that. Yeah, what a flashback. Also, I feel like before we like get into the actual show, Adam, you had a question. We had a question to ask everybody. We were trying to think of like the show that was on the Speed Channel on Friday nights, right?
Yes, it was Friday night, usually after either practice or qualifying, depending on what track it was. Steve Burns hosted it with Elliott Sadler, Jeff Hammond. Usually it was live on location. I know whenever they'd come to Charlotte, it was live in like downtown or uptown Charlotte. We cannot think of the name for the life in us.
No.
If anybody knows it, please leave it in the comments.
Somebody's gonna know it. They're gonna know it.
They gotta know it.
Oh goodness.
Diehards will know it.
They will. They will. See, I wasn't watching NASCAR back then, so I don't have that memory to think of it. But I know the Speed Channel and their programs. I cannot think of that when they were up. Chelsea, oh yeah, emotional day. We're totally gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. Corvette Racing, hello.
Yeah,
Ravaging Wolverine. Yeah, busy news. This was a busier news week than I originally anticipated. I was like putting together like a show run through yesterday or yesterday morning, and I was like, nothing's happened. Nothing's happened, and here we are today with a lot happening. Let's start off by at least going through like the point standings, what that all looks like from our end of things, where we left off at Sonoma. Adam, you bridged the gap. You are on your way to first place with that win this weekend. So
I'm coming for
congrats.
you, Ricky baby. I'm coming for you.
I'm gonna be dethroned. I have a bad feeling, not a bad feeling, because like I'm proud of you. I'm very happy for you. Y'all have had to try really hard to catch up, and look at you.
Compared to last season when I was in the basement for utterly week one to the playoffs, yes, I think we're doing fairly well.
No, this is perfect. No, you're doing great. Ben Dom, unfortunately, his yeah, we all know how that's going with his stats. Yeah, poor Dom. But no,
he's
you
out in the
you are
cornfield though
definitely
this week.
Yeah, he's out in Iowa this week. Shout out to Dom working with NASCAR Social this weekend. So wishing him all the best there. Of course, Ben and Rob couldn't join us tonight either. So wishing them well on this Thursday evening. But yeah, point situation after Sonoma for us. Hey, John. Adam says, oh, hello, Hab. Everyone's saying it's trackside. We believe it's trackside. I think we talked about that. Yeah. Okay.
I was going with that. I should have stuck with my gut. I shouldn't have even asked the question then. But hey, we got confirmation. Trackside live.
We did. We love it. We love audience participation. Thank you all for helping us figure that out because we were stuck. We could not figure that out. Yeah, Adam is closing in on the points lead. And then the 24 hours of Le Mans this weekend. I'm hoping to watch hopefully like all of it, if not half. I'm traveling this whole weekend. So fingers crossed. If I have to watch it back, I will. Are you planning on watching any of it, Adam?
Yes, I'll have it on intermittently. Definitely watch the beginning. Probably when it transitions to dark, catch it a little bit while it is dark, and then the sunrise and run to the finish. So yeah, I'll watch it in bits and pieces. It's not as easy or accessible as like the Rolex 24, where you can watch literally every hour. But yeah, I'll watch it as much as I can.
Yeah. Yeah, I really want to learn more about the series and more about, I mean, that race is iconic. So, and I've never watched it, so I would love to. But yeah, also, by the way, before we dive into the driver's points and talk about Sonoma, I was at Mid-Ohio this weekend. That was really fun, experiencing like my first IMSA race weekend. I highly recommend it. The fan experience was incredible. There's literally like nothing was off limits. I know it was the IMSA Michelin Pilot Series, so it wasn't like, the main WeatherTech IMSA series, but it was still really, really cool. Got to see Connor Zilic race. Super, super cool, super, super nice guy. We're actually working on getting him scheduled on the show. So very excited. We were hopeful to have him next week, but he's going to be traveling, but we'll have him on really soon. But got to see him win in the Mazda MX-5 Cup, which is cool. But yeah, go out to an IMSA race. There we go. The advice of the day. But back to NASCAR driver's points. After Sonoma, here's what we have. Of course, Kyle Larson winning that race. You guys might see like the little asterisk next to his name and Eric Jones. That is a signification of a waiver that's been granted to those drivers, whether it's due to injury or, of course, for Kyle Larson, his Indy 500 run. Now around that cutoff line, we see Kyle Busch is below it, Joey Logano below it, Chase Briscoe. He was above it the week prior. Now he's below that line. Right above it, we have Bubba Wallace, Chris Buescher, and Ryan Blaney. I don't want to say a fall from grace for him, but because of a rough couple of weeks, it's dropped him farther down in points. He's still plus 64 to the good, so it's a sizable gap still. But somebody who's trending in the wrong direction. Adam, from this weekend, performance-wise, is there any driver that sticks out to you, whether good or bad?
I'd have to go with Chris Buescher. He really showed that he wants to be a contender for the playoffs this year, and just the strategy that ended up playing out at Sonoma worked just about in their favor. They still got a solid finish, didn't get the win, but I really liked what I saw. And also Michael McDowell as well. I know that they're below the cutoff line, but that was a good run. That was a really good run for the 34 in his swan song season with them.
Yeah, very excited for how he performed this past weekend. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get the win when it was all said and done, but overall, very good finish in second. Chris Buescher in the top 5. It was very good. Before we talk about the Joe Gibbs Racing drivers this past weekend, let's talk about, because it segues perfectly into the NASCAR news, and it was a rough weekend for them. But let's talk about Shane Van Gisbergen. You're repping him with the hat. His win this past weekend, back-to-back. That moment, by the way, first off, very happy for him. Like, I want him to prove himself at oval tracks. I do.
We've accomplished one thing so far, and that is, yes, we are the king of the road courses. Sorry, AJ, but we have got to get our stuff together on ovals.
Yeah, the ovals need work, but with 2 wins, that helps him in the playoff standings for sure. And talking about, I don't want to call it beef with Austin Hill, but the audacity that SVG had, I'm calling it like wonderful audacity, to do the burnout right by him. Incredible. I love that moment. It was
Poetic
so cool.
justice. Poetic justice from Coda.
Yeah. I mean, SVG, he's had to learn. He goes, oh, wow, I didn't realize that we're all going to be racing this way, but he's learned very quickly, and he's not going to take crap from anybody. He's really good at road courses. He knows that to be true. He's not going to be pushed around. And to be successful in this series, you can't be pushed around. So he's learning that very quickly. So awesome to see him get that win. Pretty much dominated the race, if I'm remembering correctly. So
he did the classic, I'm going to literally let you run your equipment out, and I'm still going to beat you with even used up equipment. And that's exactly what he did. Just like a shark lurking out there in the water, he was able to pounce and get his prey. Yeah. Happy for him. I don't think he won't win the championship. And if he does, totally throw this back in my face, but I think he'll do decently well. There's an outside chance he can make it to the final round. It's going to come down, or at least get to almost the championship round, because we got Watkins Glen and we got the Roval. I was going to say, I'm with those in there, he'll make it either close to the championship 4. I think he'll at least make it past the first round, if anything. So fingers crossed, maybe. Because with the playoff points is accumulating too. And we also have Chicago coming up too, so that could be another win to put into the you get the bonus points that carry over too. Yeah. So that could be his saving grace, that he could have a shot. I hope he wins on an oval. I'd love to see him win on an oval. I think in the comments we have Pocono or New Hampshire. I think New Hampshire could be a legitimate shot. That's a lot of heel toe going through the gears. Yeah, it's a perfect track for that. I definitely think those would be good tracks to see him potentially get an oval win at. And I know there's a lot of talk online, and I saw I think NASCAR on their socials talked about this too, but is Shane ready to go to the Cup Series next year? I know there's speculation, or there's rumor that Trackhouse has acquired a third charter. Does it go to Zane Smith, who's also contracted with them, or does it go to SVG? But the question around it is he ready? And my whole thing is he has to win at an oval first before that conversation comes into play, because their Cup Series team right now, the performance is not there. You need somebody who's well-rounded, right? That's my thought, at least. Well-rounded, but also realizing that the Xfinity cars are completely different animals compared to the Cup cars. So they're really, the comparison, it's like throwing a dart at a wall. They can go 2 different ways. So honest, from my standpoint, yes, I want to see him in the Cup Series. I want to see him racing on Sundays. But is he ready? He's a professional race car driver. He's 30 some. He's older than me, but not by much. We both are up there. So his time, it's ticking. He's not a spring chicken. He's here to win. He's here to compete, and I think he's done a great job of competing so far. And he's also proven his worth in 2 Cup starts from last season, getting a win and then finishing, being able to finish at Indy. So yeah, but for placement, it also could be another year where he's farmed out to Colleague, because Colleague has 2 charters still that we know of. And they have a car that is still technically a open rotating driver for this season. I'm sure they'd like to have a little more consistency. Maybe Shane can be that consistency for the 16.
Yeah, and we've seen, what was it, 2022, they had that seat rotated, 2023, filled it, and then they're back to rotating it again. So it might be almost like a trial and error year of like, okay, who are we ready to move up? And I think back to the conversation that Trackhouse had during their press conferences when announcing that Zane Smith was contracted to them and when Shane Van Gisbergen was contracted to them. And with Zane Smith, it was our goal is to have him in a chartered car for us in 2025. That is our goal. He is our driver. For Shane, it's more of a developmental deal, and we'll see where that leads. So that doesn't tell me that he's specifically tied to Trackhouse's team necessarily. With their strategic alliance with Colleague, it makes sense that he could go to that 16 full-time next year. He could.
Yes.
So cool. Let's talk about some negatives now with Joe Gibbs Racing. That's like a harsh transition, but they had a tough weekend, Adam. Between Denny Hamlin blowing an engine on like lap 2, and then we had Ty Gibbs. Either he had a tire go down and he slammed it to the wall, or he slammed it to the wall, the tire went down, and he was done. I don't know what happened before the other.
The right front messed up.
There we go. Yeah, it
was just a mess.
We don't even need to know. It was a mess. And then Bell got spun around quite a few times, but ended up finishing in the top 10. The one driver that was poised to either win the race or at least finish second was Martin Truex Jr., and we all have seen the clips. We've all seen it. He ran out of gas. Don't know how it happened. Same situation with like Ryan Blaney the week before, where he wasn't aware of the fuel situation. They thought they were okay, ran out of gas, and then we saw that iconic moment of the fans cheering Martin Truex Jr. as he slowly and painfully crossed the finish line. That leads into the whole NASCAR news discussion that we'll have today. Some of you guys already put it in the comments, so thank you for that. But according to The Athletic, Martin Truex Jr. is set to announce his retirement tomorrow during a press conference. I would assume he has media availability tomorrow at 3 p.m. So I would assume he's going to announce it then, if that's when the press conference is going to be, but he's expected to announce his retirement following the 2024 season tomorrow. So with that said, let's first talk about his career as a whole before we speculate, which many of you guys want to talk about, who we think takes over the 19 when this said announcement happens. I like to always talk about, what's your favorite Truex moment? Do you have one?
Well, knowing that Martin Truex Jr. is definitely a future first ballot Hall of Famer, especially with the fact that he is a not once, but a twice, 2-time back-to-back Busch Series champion. That right there that's in the upper echelon of my wall of fame. Favorite Truex moment. I got to go back to his Chance 2 days, driving the number 8 car for Dale Jr. Just the magical season that 2004 was, seeing this young kid, babyface at that too. Just seeing him be able to go out and win in Junior's equipment and make the 8 car just do things that were unheard of and have some really kick-ass, pardon the French, paint schemes. So like as a diecast collector, that was finding Martin Truex Jr. cars. That was like my golden nuggets or my Easter eggs, trying to find any and every one of his cars that were ever made in a 164. So the memories of that, of when he came into the sport, that's really, really straight there in the heart. And it's, I don't believe it. I won't believe it until I hear it from his mouth that he's retiring.
Yeah, the key word here is
You could pull a deadpan and just be like, "I'm not retiring." Maybe that's what I want to hear. I'm not retiring.
I mean, because here's the thing. In years past, when everyone's like, he's probably going to retire this year, he goes to the track a random weekend. We don't expect it. And he goes, I'm not retiring, you guys. So we've seen it before. We've seen it before. But this is what's supposedly going to happen according to The Athletic. When I think about Martin Truex Jr., when I was first watching the sport in 2016, I had no clue who he was. I'm not going to lie. Like, I watched the Cup Series. I was obsessive with NASCAR, but he wasn't one of the drivers I focused on. 2017, I went to my first race at Kentucky Speedway. He won that race. And I was like, who the hell is this guy? I was like, who is he? And sooner or later, of course, he won the championship that year. And I was like, okay, Martin Truex Jr., like, this guy's a big deal. And that win made such an impression on me. I'm like, I got to follow this guy's career. And of course, the past few years after that, he did incredibly well. I mean, of course, he had that championship he should have won and then lost in 2018.
2018 closing out Furniture Row Racing. Yep.
Yeah. So, but no, and I see all your memories here. John, you said my favorite moment would be him having his 2017 championship win. That was a really big deal. Being at his Coke 600 win, his success in 2016.
The domination win at the 600. Yeah. What a night.
Dang. So
I guess my favorite race was any race he ran the Taco Bell car and was able to win in the Taco Bell car.
Such a good car. Yeah. Such a good car. Iconic.
Such a great sponsor.
Yeah, bring it back. Bring it back. So yeah, but no, without a doubt, like you said, he should be in the Hall of Fame, first ballot. He's won Crown Jewel races, those 2 championships in Xfinity, or excuse me, the Busch Series, my bad. And then of course his Cup Series championship, about 34 wins at this point in his career. I'm hoping he can get one more before he leaves, supposedly. Now the question is, who drives the 19? Now, I was shocked to see Bob Pockrass posted that Chase Briscoe is probably the most likely candidate for that seat, which to me, that I did not expect that at all. I haven't heard anything about that until he tweeted that. And to me, that's crazy because he's always been with Ford in the top 3 series. There's no relation to like Toyota, Gibbs, anything at all. So it threw me off. But I think of the drivers that are free agents right now, he might be the one with the most promise outside of Noah Gragson.
Yeah. So, and I was going to go with, I would say maybe Noah with his connections with Bass Pro. If Bass Pro isn't going to leave, that's assuming that they're going to stay with Joe Gibbs. That would kind of be like, okay, bring Noah back to Toyota. He drove for Toyotas for Kyle Busch for quite a while. And he's going to be a free agent too. But then thinking, using my head, using my noggin, I also said, all right, Corey Heim. Corey Heim is going to be a Cup Series driver, I believe, in 2025. Where's he going to land? I don't know. Could he maybe go to Legacy? Could he stay? Well, he can't stay with Tricon. They don't have a charter. Could he go to Joe Gibbs now? Well, now the door's open, so he might be able to. And knowing that Gibbs is kind of having to do a full rebuild of its drivers, similar to what Hendrick had to do about, almost 8-10 years ago, getting young talent. They have Ty Gibbs now. They have Christopher Bell, who is fairly young. And then having Corey Heim as a teammate, that might make sense. And then Denny be the Jimmy Johnson of the group, be the captain for maybe another season or 2, because I'm sure he'll retire or leave Gibbs sooner or later.
Yeah, see, I thought about Corey Heim too, and I was thinking about like the history of Joe Gibbs, and I'm probably missing something big, but I don't remember the last time they pulled someone directly from truck all the way to Cup. I just don't think that's how they operate.
I don't even know if it would be so much a Gibbs move as it's a Toyota Racing development move where they're like, okay, this kid's ready. Fair. We have to jump him now, or we're not going to be able to jump him at all.
I personally think I would love Heim on Legacy before he goes to Gibbs at some point in his career. Obviously, like with Gibbs, once those seats are set, they're set. And then unless you're Eric Jones, and then you just kind of get booted randomly. But I mean,
Let's hold on to that thought for a moment. What if Eric Jones returns
Mhm.
back to Joe Gibbs?
That is something I've thought about. I don't know if I don't know the relationship there. If he would even
Yeah.
he would entertain it, if he would do it. It's obvious. I mean, looking at the cars, it's a better ride. Statistically, it's a way better ride that he'd be in, right? But if they want to move on with a younger driver that has shown really good promise, Corey Heim, he does have a cup start, right? He filled in for
Yes, he filled in for Eric.
Right. He filled in for Eric. So, I mean, there's something there. But I don't know. If they want to go the younger route and try to develop a driver in the Cup Series, we've seen that be pretty hit or miss, mostly a miss. I think the exceptions have really been Carson Hocevar, in my opinion.
Yeah, Carson's had a really consistent year.
Yeah. So it could be. I mean, we would have it's Denny time, Heim time on the same team. We could.
Yeah.
We could. But yeah, there's a lot of good thought processes in here. In the comments.
I want to. I'll say this. I think of all the seasons to choose a driver to take over that ride, this would be the hardest because the free agent market is huge.
It's crazy this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my thing is with the free agent market this year, you have a lot of drivers that are talented at their respective levels. It's a matter of, are the drivers in Xfinity and Truck ready to move up to Cup right now? I know Chandler Smith could be another option. He's already with Joe Gibbs Racing and the Xfinity Series for them full time. He has 2 wins this season. I just don't know if he's ready to make that jump to Cup. I don't know.
Right.
But then you also have the free agents that are with Stewart-Haas Racing for next year. Of course, like we just said, Briscoe is apparently the leading candidate, according to Bob Pockrass, for that number 19 seat. Noah Gragson, as you all have said in the chat, and we talked about too, could be a candidate with that backing from Bass Pro Shops already. It makes sense. He also has a relationship with Joe Gibbs Racing in Toyota already from his past. So there could be something there. Maybe not. I also see in the comments somebody goes, and I have seen this rumored that Noah Gragson could go to RCR if they acquired a third charter. No, I get the Bass Pro Shops relationship there too because Austin Dillon in the 3, but I do not think if there's an option, I don't know if Noah should take that. That's my thought process. Their team's struggling right now.
I agree. I would not take that option. They're struggling as a 2-car team. If you go to a 3-car team, you're not even going to struggle. You're going to be in the basement, cooked, well done. Yeah.
And then we were reminded that the 34 seat is open as well. And my thought process was, well, maybe that could be a place for Noah potentially. But it was also rumored too that the 21 could have been Briscoe before the 19 seat was figured out to be open. And people are saying, well, Custer could take the 21. There are so many options this year because typically when we speculate, it's like, oh, it's easily this guy. And the news comes out. We're like, we're not surprised. We're going to be surprised this year.
And we also don't know, is like Chase Briscoe released from like driving Fords? Like, did he have like a deal with them where he's driving them exclusively? Has he been released from that? Because as you stated, he's kind of been with Ford since
he's been the guy. I think Bob actually posted about, because I had the same question and I was going to reach out to see if I could get information on that. But I think Bob posted, he said Briscoe doesn't have a separate contract with Ford. Obviously, they have sponsored him and supported him. But if another manufacturer had a top race winning car to offer, there'd be no reason for him to not consider it seriously. So according to Bob, no separate thing.
Then I would definitely take the Gibbs ride over the Wood Brothers ride if I was him.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Wood Brothers wants somebody who can get them their 100th win. Harrison Burton, I love the guy, but he's not that guy. Unless it's like Daytona or something crazy happens. Even then, he tends to wreck out, and that sucks. But they want somebody who can get them race wins to get them to that golden 100 number. But their equipment on a weekly basis is not great. I don't think that car's been as good as it has been since Ryan Blaney was in it.
Yeah, no, it has not. It had glimmers of hope with Menard and DiBenedetto, but it's a shell of its past. It's back to the dark ages of between Elliott Sadler and Trevor Bayne, that 10-year period of let's get Ricky Rudd, let's get Bill Elliott, let's get John Wood. Heck,
God, yeah, they need somebody who can elevate that equipment again. And I understand when Harrison went to that ride, it was supposed to be Cindric, and then when Keselowski said that he was leaving, things got shuffled around. I totally get that. I think Cindric could have totally elevated that ride 100%.
I think so too.
But man, somebody mentioned this, and I do want to clarify this right now. Kyle Busch cannot leave RCR. Lee Spencer, she talked about this on one of PRN's shows this week, that she spoke to Kyle Busch and a representative of his. He has a multi-year deal with RCR. His option doesn't happen, I believe, until next year or 2026. So he's stuck there for another season, regardless. He doesn't have a choice due to his contract.
Or he could pull the old "I'm retiring" card and then come out of retirement and be a surprise driver. Now, all right, that's too much. That's too much tinfoil hat time.
It's okay. It's okay. We like the tinfoil hatting, though. Somebody makes a good point too. I mean, De Benedetto actually had some good numbers in his final season in the 21.
He did.
He was decent. So, yeah, I would also love to see, maybe we've talked about this on the show. Before too, that Ryan Preece could go back to the modifieds full time if he can't find a ride. Because I think right now, of the pool of Cup Series drivers that need a ride, I mean, Harrison Burton's on that market too, but he doesn't have the stats to back up a decent ride. There's plenty of seats to fill, so that's to his benefit, but I don't know if he'll get picked up in the Cup Series.
I like Preece. I like Preece, but I've always felt like he's been the fish out of water since he's been in Cup. It's always been that, it's Ryan Preece. Oh, he's a modified guy. He's always good at New Hampshire, and then we never hear about him anymore. So I think if the cards fall, if he ends up back in modifieds, I think that's a win for him, honestly.
I agree.
Obviously, you want to be at the pinnacle. You want to be in Cup, but if there's nothing, go do modifieds, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's his bread and butter, and you can tell that he's really happy when he's at the racetrack. I mean, watching like Speed Weeks and stuff, and seeing him compete in that was like awesome with the mods and everything like that. So you can tell like he feels really happy about it. So I don't know. You want to be at, like you said, you want to be at the top level. You want to say, I am a NASCAR Cup Series driver, but at some point it's also like, okay, am I getting good results? Does that matter to me? And things like that. There's things that he's going to have to consider. He does run well in trucks, though, which Ravaging Wolverine pointed out. He did win in the Truck Series at Nashville 2 years ago. So
21 or 2, one of the other. Yeah.
22. And he ran really well. I actually have that die cast somewhere back there. But he did a good job. It was like a Circle B die cast sale, and I'm like, all right. I love it. Love it. Always collecting die casts. We have a problem. But so there's that news. We've silly season speculated like crazy. Let's talk about IndyCar real quick. Because this kind of pertains to NASCAR in a way. They also released their schedule for 2025. The big news, have you mentioned it? Now, IndyCar is going to be on Fox in 2025. All of their races will be on the Fox, like the main channel, not FS1, not FS2.
The network. On
Fox, like the main network, which is insane. And all practice and qualifying will be on either FS1 or FS2. Very big deal. Very big deal. So that means Fox will not only have the Daytona 500, they will also have the pinnacle of racing, the Indy 500. Adam, do you have thoughts before I say mine?
This is huge for.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal, and it's a big deal in two different ways. You can look at it from two ends of the spectrum. You can look at it as, wow, Fox has not only the Daytona 500 but also the Indy 500 now. Whoa! And you can look at it from the what has it been? The last 23 seasons of NASCAR on Fox. C'est la vie, IndyCar. Good luck. We wish you had Lee Diffie, but I don't know who you're going to have. So it's like it can go one of two ways. It's either going to be a great, fantastic viewing pleasure for fans, or it's going to be a train wreck. I really don't see any middle ground. It's either going to be they have revamped everything. They do not have the NASCAR crew that's producing these races. They have people who know how to produce an IndyCar race, people who have either worked for NBC or ESPN, ABC in the past when they've had coverage of IndyCar. So knowing just how to actually produce a race and keep the flow going, I think that's going to be key with this. And the fact that it's all on network TV, not cable TV. It's on network. Anybody, if you have rabbit ears, you can watch every IndyCar race this next year. That's insane.
Yeah. And part of the problem I think IndyCar has had, now I have so many thoughts with this, so I'll just ramble for like a few minutes and then I'll stop and then we can talk about the actual schedule on the screen. But part of the problem IndyCar has been their marketing. They're typically like streaming or on a network nobody has full access to.
Mhm.
And that hurts them a lot. And to NASCAR's credit or to Fox's credit with NASCAR, they do a really good job marketing their events. They do a good job putting together storylines, how cheesy they could be. Like they do a decent job, right? I
Mhm.
think this will benefit IndyCar on that level. However, like you said, and as I'm seeing in the comments, I think John made a good comment about this. It's will Fox actually care? Is my question. And that's what I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen them over the years, in my opinion, for the live broadcast in particular, care less and less. Fox has done an excellent job with Race Hub, with their non-live sports coverage. They do an incredible job with it. But when it comes to the actual race weekend, their coverage is lacking. We all know it. We've all seen it. Now, it's not to discredit the people behind the scenes that put on the live shows because it takes a lot of work. It does. So I'm not trying to discredit that, but the product is lacking. And what I loved about the IndyCar broadcast, and I know a lot of you love, and I think Adam, I'm maybe speaking for you here, but maybe I'm accurate, is that the broadcasts for IndyCar are almost flawless. They are so good. The energy in the booth is stellar. The camera angles, the shots, like they get everything. The analysis from pit road is it's all so good. So I'm nervous that with this move to Fox, that I guess quality is going to decrease. But I also have some hope. Either this was because it is a really good deal economically, or it's economic and Fox really does care about IndyCar. Because why would they have all races on the main network?
I will
So,
be. What I'm more anxious to see is who are they going to bring for their on air
yep,
coverage. Who's your lead?
that's what I'm
Who's your
thinking.
color? Who's going to be in the pits? Who's going to be telling the story that we're seeing play out on TV? And
Yep.
I think that's where Fox has definitely lacked with its NASCAR coverage. Really, for
Mhm.
me, when they took Larry Mack out of the booth, that's when it really all started to kind of
Yeah.
not be not be the same. It didn't have the same feel.
Yeah.
So
That's
you gotta have someone that knows how to call a race just as a TV commentator. You gotta have someone that knows what the drivers are thinking during the race. Then you gotta have someone that knows what is going on down in the pits to also
right.
tell the rest of the world. You gotta have those three components. And I think IndyCar so far with their coverage on NBC has been able to do that because you have Lee Diffie. He's put him
Phenomenal.
on Mount Rushmore of announcers.
Yes.
I'll say that he is one of the absolute best.
I mean, he could make a
And
potato rolling down a hill exciting.
oh my
Like,
God,
quite
yes,
honestly.
yes, he could make Rolls Anoki. He could make it an Olympic call right there.
Exactly.
Yeah, just it's the people that you're going to put into this. That's what I am most anxious about with this deal. Who is going to be in the deal?
And you bring up like the people that you put in the booth with production, they have to work together so well. And I think we do have great people that are on air. Like I love Josh Sims. He does an incredible job
Yes.
on pit road. Like to see his career blossom the past few years has been awesome. I adore him. But you have somebody incredible like Josh Sims, and then the production team maybe isn't even showing what he's talking about. You have
Mhm.
to have everything working together, and that is on production. We can have the most talented people in the world on the booth that know what they're talking about and have great analysis. But if the production team is not keeping up with it, not paying attention, not showing the right things, you have so many cameras around the track. Pick one. Um, you're not going to have a good product. And I think that's where we see the separation as well. I did see in
Yes.
the fan council this past week, somebody posted this. I was on Reddit that there was questions about the Fox broadcast team. Who do you think is like on their way out? Who's a rising star, etc.? And I'm like, you're gonna ask the fans that? They're gonna tear these people apart.
Yeah, I don't think that would be the wisest thing to be asking.
No, no, because like I saw like Mike Joy on there, and it's like, do you see him on his way out, or is he at his peak, or is he like a rising star? And I'm like, oh my god, like that's no,
Mike Joy's Mike Joy. I think Mike Joy is the only one that tries to he cares enough about it. It's everybody else around him who is not caring or is just there to make sound bites.
yeah,
And I
agree.
feel like the booth that they have right now, it's a lot of sound bites.
And I will say, like, I really like what Kevin Harvick brings to the booth. His analysis has brought professionalism, it's brought great insight. But with those words of the week and stuff like that, it's funny. it's humorous, but it's sound bites for a podcast.
Yes.
It doesn't add anything. So, and that's, yeah.
I'll take that. That's okay. He still brings a really good analytical brain when it comes to dissecting what the drivers are thinking during the race or in these situation
100%.
scenarios. It's the third guy that bring Larry back to the track. Bring Larry back, please.
I don't even know if he wants to do it, which is the bad part.
Even if it's not Larry, bring someone that was a crew chief who knows how to speak on a microphone. Steve Letarte, go pull him. Go pluck him from NBC.
Yeah. I mean, Steve's analysis is second to none. It's incredible. And part of me almost thinks the reason why the NASCAR Fan Council asked fans those questions is to see who do they keep in their line, who do they keep in their lineup and who do they let go. Now that Race Hub is done, what changes do they need to make? Who do they change out? The other part of that too is you have Prime and TNT. Obviously, if you're signed with Fox, I don't think you can work in those two broadcast booths, but let's say there's a chance.
Yeah, there'll be a chance now. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I
love this. McMurray.
It'll be interesting to.
Yeah. Well, because here's the thing. Remember, Jamie McMurray and Trevor Bayne and Adam Alexander were in the booth together at Portland. And that was an incredible booth. They did a great job, great chemistry. They'd make a great team for the NASCAR coverage.
That was the best remote broadcast commentary team that I've heard for a NASCAR race. Yes.
Just ever or in years?
Yeah, I'd say for NASCAR. I've heard some pretty good ones, but that one definitely that's for fair. Xfinity, for what Xfinity is. Yeah, that right up there.
Yeah, I also saw this comment too. I think Fox will care. Fox does everything good, and Fox will don't bring Danica. My God. Yeah. Here's the thing. I don't want Danica in the booth. When you are talking about a race, let me tread lightly here. If you were covering a race, you stick to the topic of the race. We need somebody who's knowledgeable, who's been in the car the past few years, who's stuck around the sport, who hasn't, like, the people that we have in the booth right now are dedicated to the sport. They stick around the sport. They are knowledgeable about the current happenings of the sport. That is their focus. That is their dedication. I don't think Danica's that way. She's dedicated to Formula One right now, IndyCar, that side, like the open wheel racing. I don't think she needs to split her focus. My thought process. So
yeah, I think she'd be more of a soundbite engineer if she were to come. So yeah. I agree, James.
Don't want that. Yeah, I agree. But with that said, I know we kind of went more on the NASCAR route, but let's talk about the IndyCar schedule. I had a conversation on social media. Who was it? Was it Joey? I don't know. I'll get the name of who I had a conversation with on social media, but kind of they walked me through kind of the schedule changes and what they liked and what they didn't like. And obviously, since I've only been watching IndyCar for like 2 seasons, some of these changes, like, I don't think are a super big deal to me, but people that have watched IndyCar for a long time are like, whoa, like what the heck with some of these things. Portland was moved again to the end of August is one big change that we're seeing with the schedule. Texas is yet again gone. So we still have, less oval racing. So those are some of the changes I saw here, but again, they're on Fox. The time for these races, I don't believe was announced as well. But to me, again, as someone who's been watching this is my second season, this doesn't look like a terrible schedule. And I don't believe we have a exhibition $1 million race next year. I don't think. It
looks, from what the schedule reads, it looks like the $1 million race is now a points paying race.
Okay. That's good. That's good.
I'm indifferent with that.
I wasn't a fan of Thermal.
Yeah, Thermal Club. I wasn't sold on it. I did not like.
I hated it.
I didn't like the racing. The racing just was not entertaining. I had no real, like, it was almost just like, oh God, this is bad.
Yeah, it was not good. I think part of the problem is too, like, if Texas was an option, maybe they go to Texas at some point, and that would boot it out. But I don't know if their scheduling options in terms of tracks is limited, therefore they had to keep Thermal, or if they wanted to do it, so be it. But not bad. I'm really excited in the next few weeks to go to Mid-Ohio for the IndyCar race. That was awesome last year. I'm excited to go back. So I'm excited to see that Mid-Ohio still has a really big series going there. Obviously, we have IMSA, their secondary series with the Michelin Pilot series. And then, of course, ARCA is going to be there next week, ARCA East. So Ben and I will be working that. But to have IndyCar at a track that is otherwise, in my opinion, totally forgotten, people don't respect Mid-Ohio, and that sucks. It's a little like it's a diamond in the rough, in my opinion. I'm a little biased, but I'm glad that they're still going there. They signed that deal. But yeah, it's an interesting schedule.
Something I do like about their schedule is they're wrapping up before football season. Their last race is August 31st.
Yeah.
For me personally, I would love to have almost all the racing series that are international kind of be wrapped up either by Labor Day or right around Labor Day.
Agree.
Even NASCAR. Growing up in a football family, it like when it came to the chase, I always was missing. Like I'd have to look at the calendar matchup. Okay, home game, away, home, away, home, bye. Okay, I can watch. I get to watch Talladega. Good. I get to see Charlotte. Darn, I'm going to miss Martinsville. Darn, I'm going to miss Homestead. Now I'm going to have to watch the score updates on the stadium ticker of who's going to. Oh wow, Kurt Busch won this race. He won the championship. Great. I vividly remember that back in 2004. Yeah, 2004. Like they were giving updates in the third quarter at the Panthers game on the score, the little running ribbon. The score ribbon, and it like popped up. Kurt Busch is your 2004 NASCAR Next Level Cup Series champion. It's like, well, I didn't even get to watch it. Darn!
And all the joy just left your life, right?
Yeah, it did. It really did. Back to the schedule. Something I really wish that they would add more ovals. Obviously, why can't we run Homestead in what is that, March or April?
Yeah,
we have one race in April.
Yeah.
Weather's fine down in Florida, February, March, and April. Let's go run freaking Homestead. Homestead's a great track. It's been on the schedule for years, or for a couple of years. So it hasn't been on it for a while. So that's one thing that just flabbergasted me, that they test there, but yet we don't race there.
And
let's give
maybe
the
it's
Thermal
like
Club something that was a terrible $1 million thing last year. Let's give it an actual points paying race. That it just doesn't make sense.
Big mistake. First off, I don't mean to interrupt this, but I actually might start crying due to a graphic, and I'm gonna have to text Dom about it. I literally was gonna look up something about Homestead, and then my computer refreshed, and it got me onto this graphic on Iowa Speedway, and it's a Bridgerton graphic.
Oh, Dom.
I'm freaking out. Bridgerton is my new obsession, and this graphic brought me so much life. So, thank you to the track team. I might cry, and I'm trying not to. I'm so thrilled. The social team just kicks ass. I love them. They're so cool. Okay, sorry. Back to our program. But no, like maybe it's because they test at Homestead. They don't want to like run the race, or like I don't even know. But like I love that idea. Race at Homestead again. Do it again.
Put more races before the Indy 500.
Yes,
I'm all in favor for that. You can have 2 in March, have 2 in April.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Good.
We don't need to run the Indy road course anymore. It's kind of a sham race anyway.
Yeah, I'm glad we're returning to the oval. I am. Rodney.
Oh yeah, for Cup, yes.
What? Yeah, returning to the oval. I'm excited about it. I wanted to go to that, but I'm not going to this year. So maybe next year. Fingers crossed. Ronnie said this is a win for Fox and IndyCar. It has no threat to the MLB or NFL. They will throw everything at this. Just talking about everyone, how well they do their jobs. Yeah. So lots of comments here about how we think this will all play out and everything in between. Let's get to our last piece of news before we go on to a little bit of an Iowa preview. The charter situation right now, it's a little tough. I know some of y'all wanted to talk about that. Hopefully it happens sooner rather than later. We discussed this a few weeks ago. We talked about this a few weeks ago, and not like nothing has changed, but I guess NASCAR put forward a new offer to the teams. And according to the teams, it is like the worst offer they have seen so far. So according to a report from Jenna Fryer from the Associated Press, multiple team owners felt that the latest proposal, which was delivered to the teams from NASCAR roughly 2 weeks ago, was one of the worst proposals yet. Not only did NASCAR reportedly pull back on some of like the kind of the middle ground agreements that they not agreed to yet, but that they had offered up. They added in some new provisions, like we talked about with the France family owning a NASCAR team. NASCAR already owned the majority of the tracks. The France family does own a team in IMSA. The media rights, NASCAR gets a lot of those. The tracks exposed to the media rights deals. So a lot of people see that maybe as like a monopoly, or you're just putting the teams farther into ruin. The teams operate in the red most of the time. NASCAR does not. So it's putting the teams in a tricky situation in that stance. And Toby Christie, he actually had a tweet on a thread. We had some people commenting back and forth on this post that I had, and Toby Christie linked an article about how the teams operate and money and funding and stuff like that. I will try to link it in my bio. The other thing with this too is NASCAR is hesitant on implementing permanent charters, which is what the teams want. They said, quote, "We can only support you as long as we are being supported by media networks." Jim France told NASCAR teams. What else did I have written here? That's basically what he said as to why the charters can't be permanent. And Hamlin quote tweeted that saying, permanent charters don't cost anything. So back and forth. The team owners are pissed off. NASCAR is like, here's the offer, and no progress seems to be made. And there's a concern that we could see something similar to what IndyCar and CART did and everything like that. And there could be a potential split if an agreement doesn't happen. But other speculation is also that some of the smaller teams might be ready just to sign a deal, even though the 15 teams with charters have agreed to stay strong. So, do you want to put the tinfoil hat on, Adam? Or
I could put a tinfoil hat on, but then I just sound like a madman thinking, oh, we're gonna have a rival NASCAR series, not NASCAR series, NASCAR not Cup series.
Yes.
God, I don't see it happening unless someone comes in who is just got so much money they don't know what to do with it, and they will give these teams whatever they want and not operate in the red. Maybe just operate slightly in the black or the green.
Yeah.
So like it would have to be something astronomical. I don't know. Someone's gonna cave. Someone's gonna cave and have to cater to it. I don't believe we'd have a strike. No one shows up for the Daytona 500 in 2025. I don't think that would happen.
No.
But it could.
It could. It's also been clear in that article that the teams, they don't want to split. They feel like there can be an agreement. Also, NASCAR is not NASCAR without Gibbs, Hendrick, and Penske. I personally believe what makes up NASCAR is the teams and the legacy and the drivers you have in it. NASCAR could replace those teams, but it's up to the fans what we follow and what becomes successful.
Mm-hmm. And it also has to do, where's the money? Where's the money?
Yep.
If we pay, how much did Spire pay for that BJ McLeod charter? Like
about 40 million? Yeah.
We're going to pay 40 million. We want to have a guarantee that we're locked in for longer than the cycle is. What, 3 years, 5 years? It's a small cycle, whatever it is. Yeah. If you're going to put $40 million out just to guarantee a race car in the top series and getting that money that's associated with the charter, then I'd want it to be at a minimum 10 years, 20 years. I want it to have longevity.
And part of NASCAR's deal is we don't want permanent charters, but what we can offer you is a 7-year charter deal, and then we can review it and have another 7 years. They're extending the period. It's not good enough. That's the problem. And then the other concern is what sparked concern from the smaller teams is Farmer Motorsports just purchased a charter knowing that they could potentially be worthless next year or not worth as much, but they just went for it regardless.
So they maybe they have some intel that no one else has.
Yeah. So
you also gotta think there could be a little bit of favoritism going on where it's like, well, if you buy this, then we're gonna guarantee we're gonna have something in place.
Right. It's a crapshoot right now. I mean, granted, the charters they bought were heavily discounted from what BJ McLeod was able to sell to Spire. It was about 20-ish million that they bought their charter for. But again, a lot of this information we learn secondhand through sources that are willing to share bits and pieces. We learn through Denny Hamlin and what he's able to share on his podcast. So there's a lot at the table that we don't know about that probably Front Row Motorsports knows that we don't, which is why they felt comfortable purchasing a charter. But apparently that raised concern for some teams saying, oh crap, are they thinking something that we're not? Are we parting ways? Are we not one unified group? So it's interesting. It's interesting, but I still believe NASCAR would not be the series it is without your big three teams, without your star drivers. But they do have the power and they hold the chunk of the revenue. So
that's what's going to play the factor is how much can the teams out of this charter agreement squeeze that revenue stream to help them? Because nobody makes you own. There was a quote I was told years ago about you own a race team, but that's about it. The day you start owning a race team, that's the most money you'll have with it ever. You'll never have that amount of money again.
There's no security. People get let go all the time. People get laid off all the time in racing. You might have a gig for 5 months, and then one day it's just like, sorry, we can't afford it, or we have to cut back, or we're merging into another team. And it's not race. Sports is not a secure job. Sports and media, they're not secure.
It definitely is not.
And as somebody who, for me, likes to have control in my life and tries to like dictate where my life goes, I know I'm in a field where I'm not always going to be 100% secure, and that's terrifying. And to think at Stewart-Haas Racing, you were once one of the top regarded teams in the sport, and you had such a downfall, and now Tony Stewart and Gene Haas are selling, and over 300 people are out of a job. I mean, you can't predict these things. You can see the signs, but you can't predict it. So the other thing is like you can own your own team. You can pay the funds yourself and things like that, but you're still operating in the red, regardless of if you own your own team or not. That's how it works. So
you can own your own team, but you'll have someone that's actually paying back for you. You're gonna you'll have a really long receipt that starts to grow and grow and grow and grow until you just don't want to pay back anything.
It's messy. And then you have to think about the sponsors. Like if there is a split, well, sponsors want to stay with NASCAR, go with the teams. A lot of it is where do their contracts lie, right? And then it's also saying, hey, to your sponsors, we can provide you a good return on investment here, and trying to convince big investors to buy into your team and things like that, which can be done, and it has been done. But it gets harder and harder because of economics and other things like that. So it's a big what to do with the charter situation right now. I hope that they come to an agreement soon. I think we all do. It's wild. That's what I'm going to close that out on. Is it's wild.
It is.
Adam, anything else to add?
It's going to be interesting to see where we go on this this long, strange journey.
Yeah. Oh, good Lord. Yeah. The amount of times I think, Adam, in the past week, I've been asked to elaborate on the charter agreement. It's like it's a mess. It's a mess.
Yeah. So, I think from here on out, if anyone asks either you or I or anyone else of the ATYL crew, we can just answer, it's a mess. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Ready. Yeah. My gosh. I mean, it's good. I will say with agreements like this, typically they're behind closed doors and we don't know anything, and that's for good reason. But to get some information out about this and what this could mean, interesting. So with that said, that is it for the NASCAR news and the discussion for today. But let's go to some stats for Iowa. Let's go for it. So we don't have a top 10 for this weekend, a projected top 10, because, of course, the Cup Series has not gone here. So we do have a list of drivers, though, that have had past success at this track in the Xfinity Series or the Truck Series. Austin Dillon, he got his first career truck win here. Brad Keselowski, he got the first Iowa Xfinity Series race win. Kyle Busch, Ryan Blaney, his first truck win as well. Briscoe, Buescher, Bell, all in Xfinity did well. Same with Byron, Priest. A lot of first-time winners here in Xfinity Series with Priest. John Hunter Nemechek won in trucks, Jones, trucks, and Xfinity. So he's able to be successful in both of those series there. And then, of course, Stenhouse. I actually got to see the trophy for that race in RFK's shop, and like that's so badass, so cool.
It's
Also,
the gas pump one, right?
it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
I want them to
so
bring that
cool.
back so bad.
It is cool. Ryan
Yeah.
Blaney has a opportunity this weekend to be the first one to win across all 3 series at Iowa.
He does.
He's won truck Xfinity, and fingers crossed, maybe we'll get another win this weekend.
You never know.
Cool.
It'll be interesting. I'm excited to see who does and who doesn't do well. We all know, as you all are pointing out in the comments too, Joey Logano is very good at tracks that we go to for the first time. He's just able to kind of figure it out quicker than the rest of the field. With his performance this season, I don't know if I see that happening. They constantly seem to be behind the 8 ball. He doesn't have the equipment to perform. They seem to be on the wrong side of the strategy every time. Sonoma this past weekend, why they decided to just pit early when nobody else did, I don't know. What got him back in the pack? He got damage to his car, and he was just out of it the rest of the day. I don't know. Do you have faith in Joey Logano at all? Top 10, maybe? Win?
If you're looking at trends of the past of us going to either newly resurfaced tracks, yes. Going to new tracks in general, absolutely. So yes, I would put Joey Logano on my hit list for this weekend. I think he's going to be a legitimate threat for, I don't know, a win, but definitely a top 10.
Yeah, he needs a top 10. Desperately needs. I mean, again, based on this point situation that we looked at earlier, he's outside of the championship fight, right now. So definitely needs those points. Very, very excited for this weekend. It's a sold-out crowd. Hopefully it's a good event. I would expect it to be a great event. The one thing with this event, though, I don't think I have a picture to pull from this that we do need to talk about. I did a whole video about it. It was posted today. Is the repave. The repave, or as Ryan Blaney calls it, patchwork.
Yeah. Patchwork. Cool.
The patchwork based in the corners. The reason behind the repave is, according to Alan Sawyer, is winter weather kind of wreaked havoc on the track. There were places that needed touched up. They didn't have time to do a full repave, so they just did whatever they could. Ryan Blaney was one of the drivers that was like, you had 2 options. You either just don't pave it, or you repave the complete thing. The in-between options, basically, it's not right. You can't do that. Christopher Bell said it totally ruined the corners. You have grip on the bottom of the track, no grip up top with the old surface. It makes the top of the track almost not usable at all. Brad Keselowski said it still holds the same characteristics as the track used to have. It actually helped kind of the tunnel bump in turn 1 and 2. So he was more positive with the feedback, at least what he was able to tell the media following the tire test that they had at Iowa at the end of May. I didn't see a quote from Kyle Larson. I was going to try to get that because he also tested as well. Adam, what are your expectations? You haven't been on the track, but like, knowing the old Iowa product, what do you expect for this weekend?
Well, knowing the old Iowa product, there's going to be a couple things that's going to play a factor into this. If anyone remembers from the late 2000s when Pocono had to repave part of turn 3, we called it the grip strip. We might be seeing quite a bit of the grip strip Sunday night. But something we're going to have to look at is what tire compound Goodyear brought. Is it going to wear in, or is it going to be one of those where it's not wearing in and we can run wherever we want? Because if it's one of those, we might be able to utilize more than just the bottom where all the grip is. Now, if the tires do wear out pretty quick, which I think it's supposed to be pretty warm, even for the race Sunday evening into night, we might be seeing a 1 to 2 group.
Yeah,
I don't want that, because like when I think Iowa, I think, okay, they're going 4 wide, back to single 4 wide, single 4 wide. Yeah, that was its characteristic. It was one of the first true multi-grooved short tracks of the 2000s. And if we don't get that product, I'll be disappointed.
Yeah. I actually went back and watched like old clips from Iowa, because I wasn't a fan when I was able to watch all the races in there full time, and I was like, this is fun. Like, who knew short track racing could be this fun? And I love Martinsville, don't get me wrong. Like, I love short track racing, but the fact that it was multi-grooved was so unique to me based off of what I had seen and what we've seen this year. Granted, I think we were impressed with Bristol and Martinsville, and I think we've come a long way with the Gen 7 short track package, but I was very impressed by the racing I saw, and I would love to see kind of glimpses of that, but there is the concern. To me, and I agree with you, Adam, it all comes up to the tire that they brought. can it provide that product or not? And we won't know until they get out to practice and qualify and race is the concern. So, but NASCAR does say
usually if it's a hot track, it'll be nice and slick. But this car, it's just so finicky with that. It doesn't even apply, because if the tire is just slightly off from that, no, it's not going to shred. It's going to do its thing. Instead of wearing out, it's going to marble the whole upper groove where you cannot run it.
And the car doesn't do well on bumps or on any of the balled up rubber that we have like, for instance, again, with Bristol, the tires would just slide on top of that and they'd wreck out. So doesn't do well with any of that. So I'm curious. NASCAR did say, though, that they expect there to be multi-groove racing this weekend, according to Elton Sawyer, and they comment to theracer.com.
I hope they are not blowing smoke. I really hope I am wrong that it's going to be Grip Strip City.
I hope so. My God, this needs to be a good race. I mean, again, sellout crowd. I'm very excited for it. Regardless of like the on track and how it looks, it seems to be the drivers that have made comments like Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell. They're excited to race here again. Brad Keselowski. It's just a matter of the track doesn't look great, and they're concerned about how it's going to actually race. Otherwise, though, we won't say our picks.
Oh, yeah, no, we definitely won't say our picks, but going back to Iowa real quick, we are going back next year. Will we see a whole new track surface? That's going to be the question. After IndyCar runs their deal in July, are we going to get a full-blown repave of the whole track? That'll be
part of me was like, I wish we could have seen the original surface without like the – again, we didn't get to see the track like before they decided to do the patchwork on it to see how bad it actually was. And I'm not an expert in that, so I wouldn't be able to say do or don't patchwork stuff. But I would assume at this point, because you did repave just parts of the corners, you got to repave the whole thing at this point once IndyCar's done with it. So I hate it, but at this point, you have to. You can't half-ass it.
Nope.
So
gotta go full blown.
Full blown, absolutely. So, yeah, we'll see. I'm excited for this weekend, though. Of course, ARCA racing Friday night. Then we got Cup and Xfinity this weekend too. So be on the lookout for that. I do have the schedule up in that video talking more about the repave and the comments from drivers, etc. I have the schedule there, and of course, you can find it all over at tobychristie.com and everything in between. But that's it for our live stream for tonight. Again, make sure that you guys go to tobychristie.com for all of your NASCAR news, race recaps, etc. My videos are also on the website there too. So if you're looking for them on YouTube and you're like, I don't know where to go to tobychristie.com. Oh, the water bottle. He has the water bottle branding. And then, of course, if you want that water bottle, go to AboveTheYellowLine.com. We sell our merchandise there. This beautiful hat. Hold on this hat right here. Could be yours on AboveTheYellowLine.com. We also have some giveaway options with our partners with our website. So make sure to go there, learn more about us and what we do. And, of course, our social media handles are on the screen for you, but they're also, like, in the description below. So make sure to check that out. Oh my gosh. Yes. See, this is becoming a thing now. Everyone's catching on. Spiders are our friends. Dom will love that. Ravaging Wolverine, you were my hero tonight. Thank you.
I find it funny that a guy whose name is Ravaging Wolverine is commenting on a guy who is a diehard Buckeye fan.
It's so funny.
I think that's just hilarious right there.
I just took a picture of that. That made my night. That's so funny. I just took a picture of that, and I'm going to send that to Dom. But of course, to Dom, who is at the track this weekend, I'm working. Best wishes to you. You're going to kick butt. You're going to do great. And then, of course, to Ben and Rob, wish you could be here. Hydrate. But have a great weekend to them. Have a great weekend to you all. Keep up with our content again, link in the description below. But thank you all so much for joining us on another Thursday night for myself and Adam Lucas. We'll see.